Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I will be taking the political compass test. As you guys might be asking, why am I doing another video of this again? Well guys, the reason why is because I thought the last time the video quality was kind of bad, so I decided, you know what, I replaced this with a brand new video. So it's pretty much going to be the same thing as I did the other day. Um it's just gonna be better quality, and I hope I can, like, now I have full screen now, so not because I know there's one guy who complained that, I don't know, well, whoever complained, I thank you for that he couldn't see it well in full screen. So I will show you my entire screen, guys. Anyway, so if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. I have an election night up on my YouTube channel, so please guys, check that out. It's between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and I please recommend that you watch it. And comment down if you disagree or with some state calls. Anyway, guys, let's get into it without further ado. So, this is the first page, just a few propositions to start with concerning, no less, how you see the country and the world. Let me turn on my light. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I agree. I do not support economic globalization. I'm not a globalist, but at the same time, if it's gonna have to happen, I think humanity should be put first over corporations. I'd always support my country whether it is right or wrong. I disagree with that. A good example would be the Iraq War. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. However, Colin Powell, the former Secretary of State, lied to the United Nations to get us into war, and I think the war was absolutely unjustified. So I think that was a big military blunder that we did. So I wouldn't support that. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I strongly disagree. I believe people should, and people can have the right to hate their country if they want. But I think to say it's foolish to be proud of it is just not right, because I think every country is unique in one way or another. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I disagree with that. I believe every race is equal. I think, I believe we all deserve the same respect that anyone else would want. So, like, I would respect anyone the same way I would want to be treated. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. This is one thing I've changed my opinion on. I disagree with that. I believe that even if you guys are coming together to fight a common enemy, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're friends now because you just came together. It's like a story I remember reading about a cat and a mouse, where they came together to fight each other, to find off danger, but in the end they were not friends because they were just mutual enemies. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I agree. I mean, it depends, like what you want to do. Like, if you have to do something, if that as the last resort, then yeah. Like, for example, would be the United States bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Although it was, of course, deadly, but at the same time, more lives could have been lost had we not done that. Although, yeah, it was both tragic for both sides, but the war had to end, or else we could have lost more of our fellow Americans. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly agree. We have the rise of misinformation. We have rise of censorship as well. Now let's take a look at the economy. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. I agree with that. I believe no matter what race you are, if you're working class, I believe we all are going through similar situations against the rich and powerful, no matter what race we are. Like Amazon, for example. Like Amazon there's a big union going on, and it's pretty multiracial, and that comes to show that people are come together because they're working class rather than where they're from. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. This one is a little bit of a tough one because inflation and unemployment are extremely bad for society, but I would say I'd rather have some inflation than having millions out of work. So I would say I disagree. Both are very bad for the economy, guys, again, but at least inflation you can at least control. Unemployment is like kind of difficult to control. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I agree. Generally speaking, yeah, I think corporations should be regulated. That doesn't mean we should be regulating the heck out of them, but at the same time, deregulation or underregulation is going to cause our environment to change more rapidly, which is leading to a rapid change in our climate. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. Strongly disagree. Heck, that's a communist idea. The freer the market, the freer the people. I strongly agree with that. Well, although I do believe in free markets, at the same time I think there should be restrictions. There should be heavy restrictions and monopolies to really make the market truly free. There could be discrepancies, but at the end of the day, when we have free markets, the people are free. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Strongly disagree. I don't see what the problem is with bottled water. Like, if you just don't like bottled water, don't drink it essentially. But I feel like bottled water is also a convenience that we can use to, like, especially when we're going on long trips. So you're not going to carry a glass of water with you all the time. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Strongly disagree with that. And this is not America was founded on the right to own land, and many of America's founding fathers were landowners and slave owners too. But they were also landowners. So America was founded on the right to have land, and again, and on top of that, we're not, and this is not a communist society where the government practically owns your land, because in a communist society, at least in theory, everything is supposed to be distributed equally, but the government owns a lot of the means in production. So the government pretty much in a communist society pretty much owns your house. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. This one I've also changed my opinion on. I disagree. I believe there are some people who definitely earn their wealth by exploiting their workers, but at the same time, it's not fair to say that, that many of them were just, you know, they manipulated money. Like, even if Jeff Bezos gives his workers like 25 bucks an hour, he would still be incredibly wealthy. So would Elon Musk. So I think it's wrong to say that, they manipulated their money. They're just inherently wealthy. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Strongly agree. The decades of hyper-capitalism and neoliberalism is what caused Donald Trump's rise in 2016. The neoliberals and neocons' policies of free trade has decimated our middle class, and as a result, the middle class has turned on the establishment more than anyone, more than any other demographic. The only social responsibility of companies should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. By its existence, a company is generally meant to make profits and to its shareholders and its owners. But at the same time, I believe a company should not. I think the company should also try to get the best product and make sure its employees are well taken care of. So I see those as social responsibilities of a company as well. The rich are too highly taxed. I disagree on this one. I do believe that the rich do pay quite a bit in taxes, but still, even a lot. There's the richest 400 people in America paid an effective lower tax rate in 2018 than the bottom 50% of Americans, which is already a shocker. How there's so many tax loopholes that have to be closed, so that way the rich don't evade their taxes. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Again, I think I changed my stance on this one. I strongly agree. I believe there should be a bare minimum. Like I think everyone should have the right to have good care. So, but it doesn't really make sense to give government-run healthcare to Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, because if they just want, so I think even if it's good by anybody's your standards, even if it's good, but it's not worth it. It's just a waste of money. Why are you going to give incredibly wealthy people government run healthcare? If they want to pay more and they expect better care, I think they should have access to it. I think it's just wrong to block them from having access. But at the same time, I think ordinary Americans should have good health care as well. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I agree. Generally speaking, I do believe that it depends on what type of misleading is it differs from situation to situation. Like for example, if it's like if a company gives is selling a possible cure for skin cancer, but it does absolutely nothing or makes it even worse, then yeah, the government should have the right to penalize the business, either by publicly shaming them or ordering them to pay a huge fine. But if it's like there's some deal that you didn't know about, it's really not the business, who's supposed to be blamed here. So it depends on the type of misleading. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I agree. Strongly agree with that. Because that it goes back to the freer the market, the freer the people. Well, that's a theory, but you need a lot of restrictions on monopolies in order for that to work. So you need like lots of trust busting legislation, like the Sherman Antitrust Act or the Clayton Antitrust Act. Now let's take a look at some of my personal social values. I know a lot of them will be kind of controversial here. Abortion, when the women's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Yeah, I believe it should be illegal. I think aborting a baby, other than if the mom's life is in danger, is just absolutely stupid of an idea. If you can't raise your child, give him to an adoption center. I'm not advocating for it, but if that's your last resort, by all means, you should have the freedom to do it. But don't abort your baby, though. All authority should be questioned. This one's a little tough. Like, like you're not going to really question the authority of your parents or like your teachers or the police, right? You're not going to really question their authority, right? But I think really other than that, I think all other authority, like let's say for example, someone tries to claim power over you, then I think you should question it. But I would say for right now, I agree. I think I do not like the way they say all authority. I think there should be some authority you should question, but at the same time, you shouldn't question the authority of your parents or grandparents or let's say the police. You're not going to really question them. But I agree. Other than really your main people, I think you can question anyone else's authority. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I disagree. I don't really believe in like retaliation or vengeance, towards someone. I don't really believe in that. So plus it's not healthy to run a government under that principle either. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Strongly agree. If at the museum, as much as I value museums, I think they're very important. That's what keeps our history running. That's how we get educated in history, in United States history. But at the same time, if museums can't stand on their own, it's not our job to bail them out. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I don't know what they mean by classroom attendance. Like, I don't know, like, what type of classroom, because you can have a public school classroom, a private school classroom, a homeschool classroom. I mean, I think depending on, what type of education you choose for your child, I think regardless of where they go, I think, the classrooms should, the people there should mandate attendances. I think education is very, very important. That's how, we can be very literate and in turn make right decisions for our society. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. I disagree with that. I don't know what they mean, but I'm kind of thinking that I would say that I disagree with that. If you want to publicly declare that you're part of something, I think by all means you should have the right to do so. I don't think you should be hiding in fear because of the government. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I strongly disagree. I don't like I'm not a parent, so I don't really want to comment. But when I do become a parent, I definitely won't spank my children. Just why. It's not gonna help the kids learn anything, and plus, research has shown that it actually has a negative impact on children that are spanked. Although sometimes, arguably so, you could say they kind of behave better because they know, but there are definitely other ways to discipline kids without having to go physical. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. I agree. as a child, as a kid myself, I do agree. We kids have things that we don't want to tell to our parents, like bad test scores, and usually we don't want to tell that. But at the same time, it's wrong to keep secrets from your parents. Maybe if it's something very, very personal to yourself, then yeah, then I think you should keep the secret. But I think you shouldn't really like hide stuff from your parents because it's just plain old wrong. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I agree. I personally do not support marijuana. I do not like drugs, but at the same time, even if you outlaw it, people are still going to use it, and those who get arrested for it generally tend to be minorities. So I don't think it should be a criminal offense. However, I think on other drugs, all other drugs besides marijuana, I think there should be strict regulations on them and strict rules. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Strongly agree. That's exactly what school is meant to do. If you're just gonna go to school just to learn basic stuff, what's the point of school? The point of school is to like basically get knowledge in the area that you want to go. I know most of us won't probably know until like we're high schoolers or something, but like, let's say you want to go into engineering, then the school should have, remember, no matter what school you go to, schools should have the resources to prepare kids adequately for an engineering career. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Strongly disagree. It's just mean. Like it's like selling. It's like we don't and we can't dictate who reproduces, who can't reproduce. That's deeply authoritarian if you do that. The most important thing for children is to accept discipline. I agree on the idea that children have to learn discipline, but I disagree on the fact that it's the most important thing. I think the kids only get discipline when you teach them to be principled. Like you shouldn't go out and bully others. You shouldn't name call others. You should treat everyone with respect the same way you'd want to be treated. Maintain good friends. That is something that we want our children to learn. Although that itself ties with discipline. There are no savage and civilized peoples, there are only different cultures. I strongly disagree. I don't know what they mean by civilized peoples, but definitely it's very wrong to say that there are no savage cultures. There are definitely savage cultures. Just look at the Taliban, for example. That they're openly allow violence against women, which is very, very extreme. I would not want to be one, for example. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Strongly agree. It's like me. Let's say you need help on some like a sine and cosine graph. Basically, sine and cosine are the basic functions of trigonometry. I don't want to go into make a crash course video on this, but that's just the basics. So let's say you need help on those graphs, and I lend you the hand, but you say no, you refuse it, and then when you realize you do need help, and then you come running to me, I'm not gonna help you because you refused the opportunity. You had the opportunity, you refused to lend the hand, and as a result, I'm not helping you. It's the same way. Like when the government offers you free healthcare, when at least when the government cares, and if people reject it, people deserve what they have, if you're and plus everything is not going to be free in society. When you're troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I disagree. I think you should first try to solve the problem because running away from problems doesn't do any good for you because when you run away from the problem, you're still gonna have to live with the problem. So, like, let's say you don't know a math concept, you have to first, when you're troubled with it, you have to get help with it and get out of it. If you run away from it and try to do a more cheerful thing, it's gonna come back. It's not like it's gonna go away because you left it behind. That's not how it works. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. Strongly disagree. I'm the son of Indian immigrants, and I feel like I'm more American than I am Indian. While I take pride in my Indian roots and love having Indian heritage, but at the same time, I feel like I assimilated a lot into America. More so than my parents, but my parents could speak comfortable English too. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Disagree on that. Something that's good for Amazon, like for example, Amazon destroys like Amazon destroys tons of pounds of mass. That's good for them because it maximizes their profits, but it's at the expense of the environment. So something that's good for Amazon isn't always good for us. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Strongly agree. But at the same time, they should be privatized into oblivion. Let's see how I see wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I strongly agree with that. I cannot say how I cannot agree with that more. There's actually a report that came out, and thanks to Edward Snowden, actually, who did this, he discovered that Apple was actually surveillancing you on what your pictures. So that is actually pretty a bombshell report, and I think it comes to show that that our civil liberties are being curbed. Like I don't know how else you can say that it's not being curbed. I'm not sure about the whole Snowden report, but I think definitely his report did prove that it definitely it's violating our privacy. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Strongly disagree. One-party states just suck. Like, why would you want to live in a one-party state? Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. I disagree with that. If I look at the NSA example that I mentioned earlier, and China, like China goes cracks down on innocent people, those who haven't even done anything wrong. They just want to give the world the news, and the Chinese government brutally represses it. So that definitely is very deeply, deeply authoritarian. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Again, I think this is one I've changed my stance on. I disagree with the idea of the death penalty. Actually, I strongly disagree with the death penalty. I believe the death penalty is just no better than the murder itself because what's it really going to do to the family who lost a loved one by killing the one who killed their love of their life? What's it going to really do? It's not going to do anything. Although I believe for those type of crimes, there should be very strict punishments, like life in prison without parole, or living in a hyper security prison. That it should definitely be is a much better option than killing people because it doesn't just no good. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Again, I don't know what they mean by quote civilized society, but I agree that there should be some general structure in society. Because if we don't have any structure in society, it's essentially anarchy. So I believe that there should be some general structure, but it shouldn't be like a what's it called? It shouldn't be like a feudalism like thing. It should just be very just very rugged type. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I strongly agree with it. It's like I giving me a blank canvas and saying that's art. I would call you an idiot for that. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I disagree. It depends on the crime, but if it's like a minor crime like a theft of a candy bar, I don't really know why you'd punish anyone over that. You try to rather rehabilitate the criminal because it's just a minor crime. The criminal who did that will be you can easily rehabilitate. And when we actually try rehabilitation, we can actually reduce recidivism rather than punishing people to oblivion. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Yeah, I agree. Although I think we should try to rehabilitate all criminals, but at the same time, mass murderers, rapists, serial killers, you just can't rehabilitate them. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and artist. I disagree. I don't think any one profession is more important than the other because I think writers are equally as important as business people and manufacturers. Though business people and manufacturers are the ones that keep our economy rolling, but writers are the ones who keep us informed on the day-to-day stuff. Without writers, we would essentially have no information on what's going on. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I agree. I think mothers, and I definitely agree with that statement. Although I don't think a mother should be forced to do it, but I agree that they should care for kids and putting their kids first. So I'm more of like a traditionalist when it comes to it. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I agree. Although, like you've seen how the recent climate change events when as a result of us taking resources from third world countries. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Strongly disagree. I don't know what establishment they're talking about. Like, like there may be if it's a government establishment. Heck no. Astrology accurately explains many things. I disagree. I don't know really a lot. I'm not really into astrology as much, but at the same time, I don't think it really accurately explains everything. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. I'm religious myself, but at the same time, I think, people who are not religious are equally as moral as me, or in fact, they could sometimes be more moral than us. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I agree. I strongly agree. However, I'm not saying get rid of root out social security. I think we need to have that. I think a combo, both charity and social security, would be good for society. Some people are naturally unlucky. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, there are some people who are born in unfortunate situations, and as a result, they just unfortunately are just unlucky. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. I disagree. I don't. I do believe there could be some you can incorporate some aspects of religion it's like kids like we can teach a little bit about Christianity to our kids, but I don't think a school should, at least a public school, should not be indoctrinating children into any specific religion because that violates the First Amendment. Where people have the right to a freedom of religion. Although I do not inherently disagree that parents should have the right to send their kids to a religious school if they want their kids to get a religious education. Let's take a look at sex. I know a lot of these are going to make me uncomfortable, and if you feel uncomfortable, you guys can skip through this. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. Strongly agree. Although I'm not necessarily anti-gay marriage, I'm not anti same-sex marriage, but personally speaking, I think it's immoral. But I'm not. But I digress, though. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I agree. Like, although I do support kids having a mother and a father, but science has shown as gay couples and pretty much do the same things as heterosexual couples. So as long as they have the same qualifications, as long as they're still they have an income, stable, loving relationship, I don't think they should be excluded from having children if they want to, though. Porn depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. I disagree. Although porn is very bad, guys, and porn often rips apart lots of families. So please, guys, don't ever do it. But for those who say agree, I would understand why, because I think people should have the right to do it. But if in that case, I think there should be heavy regulations on it. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. I do believe I mean if genuinely everything is going well, okay, then I don't think the government should come in and just interfere. But I think if there's a problem like sexual abuse is going on or domestic violence, then yeah, I think the police should get involved. Then I think definitely the police has to get involved in it. But if it's not, if everything is peaceful, then I believe that the state should have no right to interfere in a private bedroom. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I disagree with that. And these days, openness about sex has gone too far. Strongly agree. You can kind of see what the DNC has tried to do to Pete Buttigieg. They propped him up because they said, "Oh, he's gay. he's young, you know, he's a guy from a small town in Indiana, and he gonna have the Rust Belt appeal, you know. So they're kind of, you know, him going on, you know, him being gay, you know, that shows that they're so open about it. Let's see where I stand, guys. Check it out, guys. I'm on the economic left, right. I'm on the economic right, but not by a lot, 1.75. And social libertarian, authoritarian, I'm on the social libertarian side, negative 2.05. So, yeah, I'm actually on the libertarian right. Remember last time in February, it was like right around here. So I have gotten a lot more libertarian compared to 6 months ago. I can't believe how much I changed, but and moved a little bit economically, a little bit more to the right, but I still do believe this is where I actually would stand. But guys, the political compass test isn't the most accurate test. I believe there are more accurate tests like supply values, for example. I think that's a great test. I'll link that in the description below. But I took the supply values test pretty recently as well. Like I took that in March, so I'll probably wait another month and then I'll probably take the test again. Excuse me, guys. So let's see where I fall under ideology wise. So let me zoom in. So so basically, I'm now. I'm still in economic. I believe in economic liberalism, but guess what? So basically, guys, there's like 5 squares each row, so there's like 25 squares in the libertarian right. So basically, so like for example, social liberalism. Basically, that means if your economic score is between 0 to 2, +2, and your social libertarian scale is between 0 and -2. So that would be social liberal. Ordo liberalism. It's kind of like it's a variant of social liberalism, except I think it's a bit more like more capitalistic in its nature, more corporatist in its nature, but it's still pretty similar. So that's when your economic score is from 2 to 4. Democratic liberalism is your economic score is 4 to 6. Liberal corporatism is when your economic score is 6 to 8, and neoliberalism is pretty much far right economics. So that's 8 to 10. So mixed economy liberalism, that's when your economic score is same, but your libertarian score is -2 to -4. Techno liberalism is -4 to -6. Geo-libertarianism is basically -6 to -8, and geo-anarchism is basically -8 to -10. So I actually fall rightly squarely just in the top right of mixed economy liberal. So guys, I cannot believe I'm a mixed economy liberal. I cannot believe it. I thought it was a social liberal looking at it, but I don't think it's most accurate. I think if I took another test, I might be a social liberal. But for right now, I still consider myself a social liberal. I mean, like not only culturally left, I'm a more culturally moderate right. But at the same time, you know, social liberalism is just an economic philosophy. So let's see how I compare to other presidential candidates. So if I look in the 2020 Democratic primary, pretty similar. Although I think I'm very comparable to Marianne Williamson. Like I'm just right and pretty close to her actually. Just I'm a bit more libertarian than Marianne Williamson. So yeah. Anyway, guys, and that is it for today's video. If you guys like my video, please put a like to it. If you guys and please guys tell me what you got on your political compass. Guys, this isn't the most accurate test. I definitely could be a little bit more authoritarian, but I recommend that you guys try out supply values too. It's a very good test, and I feel like it's far more accurate than this. So if you like today's video, please like, share, and subscribe. And can continue, keep staying on post. I'll keep you posted on updates. And sorry, guys, I haven't been uploading very frequently. I've been super busy with work these days. It just school is about to start soon in where I live, and I'm just getting very busy. I'm just having to prepare for school, so bear with me, guys. I'm very sorry that that sometimes I don't upload on a regular basis, but yeah, I'll try to upload throughout the year, and if you guys like it, please subscribe and encourage your friends to subscribe as well. Anyway, guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, keep watching my videos. And I have my election night out, so make sure you guys watch that too. And that is all I have for you today. Political predictions out.